Hello, this is RHM for RHM Movie Reviews. Today, for this episode, I'm going to be talking about three stories that I own quite a few films of, but it's the stories like Cinderella's been told a lot in different ways. Snow White has been told in different ways. Robin, and the last one would be Robin Hood. But there are other stories that have been told different ways. There just have been a lot of movies made on those stories. There are two, before I start talking about the movies I own for the three main stories, which is Cinderella, Snow White, and Robin Hood, I should say there are two authors that I do suggest if you want to read alternate versions of fairy tales. One author is Jenny James. It's Jenni, and that's it. And then James is her last name. She does an excellent job at taking. It is actually still set in the time frame that the stories usually have taken place with other books or the other times these tales have been told. The only other one that I would suggest is Alex Flynn. She doesn't have a lot of books based on fairy tales, but the few that she does are really good. Like her take on Beauty and the Beast is called Beastly. It's supposed to be the modern day teenage telling of Beauty and the Beast from the Beast perspective. I do mean teenage because it's teenagers. So it's set in high school, which sort of makes sense, but the one of her books that I really like that actually is based on one of the great stories that the Disney company has taken on is Sleeping Beauty. Her take on Sleeping Beauty is called Kiss in Time. It starts off, yes, in the 1700s, and you have the character is supposed to be like it is supposed to be Sleeping Beauty, like Princess Aurora in Disney. She's talking to her caretaker, somebody's supposed to be taking care of her because she's 16. She's a teenager, and then yes, she pricks her finger on a spinning wheel. Now I know there is a channel out there that talks about messed up origins. I do suggest you watch that, or there's something about Sleeping Beauty that there's multiple stories on it. Read that, because I think that's where Alex Flynn derived her Sleeping Beauty tale on. Because yes, her Sleeping Beauty falls asleep for 300 years. Because it takes that long until, yes, this century for a boy who's about the same age as Sleeping Beauty to wake her up with a kiss. Now, whether or not throughout the rest of the book, you're wondering, did he really wake her up with true love's kiss or not? But I do suggest you read her books, because, yeah, her books that are based on fairy tales are Cloaked, Towering, Mirroring, Bewitching, and all are really good. She does a really good job at taking on these classic fairy tales. Alright, start up with, and these aren't necessarily, I'm not talking, until I get to the Robin Hood movies, I'm not talking the way these movies came out. So, first up is the Cinderella story. It is a modern day take on Cinderella. But yeah, with this and with the ones that are with it, which I will talk about later, is Prince Charming has another actually has an ex-girlfriend or somebody else in his life that he was in love with or he has a friendship with, but somebody else may think this other person is somebody they belong with. So this was the first one. And of course, everybody knows with Cinderella, she forgets her shoe. But in this version, she drops her phone. And it's very good. It's a very good movie, and I actually found something interesting while watching Hilary Duff. I think it was an each of stories of some kind for her. Sorry. And the fact that Chad Michael Murray didn't know at the time they were filming this movie that Hilary Duff and Lindsay Lohan were feuding because a guy, I swear, I think he's probably the stupidest guy in the world. I mean, no offense to Hilary Duff or Lindsay Lohan for actually dating this guy at the same time, but still. That's why they were feuding. And Chad Michael Murray, when he took Hilary Duff to the premiere of Freaky Friday, his version of Freaky Friday with Lindsay Lohan and Jamie Lee Curtis, he didn't know. He found out. It was all because of Aaron Carter. I still say he's the stupidest guy I ever heard of. Yes, and this has a great cast. Actually, two of the actors from this are in both in Legally Blonde 2. And they do a great job at playing off each other. Their characters in this are the reverse of the characters that they play in Legally Blonde 2, which is really cool. Alright, the next one is Rodgers and Hammerstein's Cinderella. Now, this version has a diverse cast, and this was the third time that Rodgers and Hammerstein's Cinderella had been done. And amazing cast and great diverse cast. Brandy, otherwise known as Randy Norwood. I don't know how you go with it, but she was a singer at the time. She was sort of an actress, but not. I'm not sure if she was really an actress, but I know she had been in a couple movies. She had her own TV show, and she does a great job at playing Cinderella. And yes, the late Whitney Houston played the fairy godmother. And the songs, I love the songs in the movie, especially in my own little corner, because I think I actually sung that during high school for recital. Because after 2 years of band, I went into choir. So I actually got to sing that song. So, all right, next two are a take on a Cinderella story that starred Hilary Duff and Chad Michael Murray. And just so you know, for these movies that Warner Brothers had done, each has a former or current Disney Channel actress in the lead as Cinderella. Cinderella type character, really. This next one is another Cinderella story, which actually stars Selena Gomez. And she does a great job at playing the Cinderella type character. Because, yes, but the slight difference between this and the other Cinderella type movies from Warner Brothers that's a part of their franchise of Cinderella is I don't think Selena Gomez's character is actually related to her supposed stepmom and stepsisters. I don't think they're related at all. But if they are related, I would like to know how. Besides the fact that they say at the beginning of the movie, oh, her character's mom was a backup dancer for Jane Lynch's character who plays this evil stepmom. Now, I don't know if that's true or not. I would like to know if that is. I really want to know the story behind this, because there is really no making of this movie. There's just a lot of music videos for the special features on that. So, next one. This one stars Sophia Carson as the Cinderella type character. Now, for this and for the original Cinderella story, they do talk about the fact that, yes, the father did remarry after the first wife passed away. So, for this, we get Jennifer Tilly as the evil stepmom, which I found very interesting. And I think, unlike with a Cinderella story, you actually don't know the actors who play the evil stepsisters from anything else. I know with the Cinderella story, you know Madeline Zima from The Nanny, and that's great. And this is amazing cast. All right, next one is Ella Enchanted, and believe it or not, our Robin Hood from Robin Hood Men in Tights plays a villain in this movie. Gary Elwes, he is really good as a villain, but his sidekick is a snake, and that snake is very, very funny. Or I think he's funny. When you watch the movie, if you don't think he's funny, you think Carrie Elwes' character is funnier, okay, that's fine with me. And they have some great songs. It's covers of songs that you've heard of before. Like, one song that I really like in the movie is the one Anne Hathaway sings as a solo. Is Queen's song, Somebody to Love. And I love her rendition of the song. It is very, very good. And of course, a spoiler at the end of the movie is Elton John Kiki D song, Don't Go Breaking My Heart. And there are other covers of those different older songs, and they are great. Alright, so these next three movies are supposed to be based on Snow White. This is the modern day retelling of Snow White. It's called Sydney White. And freshman year of college, which is really good. And, you have the dad alive, you don't have an evil stepmom for this. It is great. I think Amanda Bynes does an awesome job at it. And just so you're wondering, yes, that is the guy who plays the prince in this movie. Yes, he does play a Nicolas Cage's character in Ghost Rider's, the younger version of that character. The young Johnny Blaze is what the guy plays. And he's really good in Sydney White, and he's great in Ghost Rider, I know that. And I hope he's great in other movies. Alright, next one is Mirror Mirror. This is a great cast. Armie Hammer as as Prince Charming. Julia Roberts as the evil queen. And actually, I think it was the first time Lily Collins ever got to play heroine type of character, because later on she got to play the lead in Moral Instruments, City of Bones, which is cool. This is cool because it makes Snow White a heroine, not the damsel in distress. And I thought it was really cool. Armie Hammer as the prince was so funny. And Nathan Lane as the evil queen's sidekick in this, he's funny too. And it's an interesting take on Snow White and the Seven Dwarfs. because you actually have the seven dwarfs. These are actors who are little people, if you want to say it correctly. All right, next one. Little scandal behind it. I'm doing little scandal. And it's Snow White and the Huntsman. And when I'm talking about scandal, is the fact that, supposedly Kristen Stewart, who plays Snow White in the movie, she had an affair with the director. And this was the director's directorial debut. Now, I'm pretty sure from what they've said, it's not true. But who knows? Now, this was actually Bob Hoskins, one of the guys who plays the Seven Dwarfs. It was his last film before he retired. Because after this movie, I think he retired from films, and then a couple years later, he passed away. And he does a great job in the movie. He is very funny. Sorry, not funny. Oh, I want to say funny because I've known him for other roles. But yes, unlike the other fairy tales version, unlike the original Snow White and the Seven Dwarfs, it's the huntsman that wakes up Snow White from the sleeping curse. Alright, now I will be talking about the three remaining Robin Hood movies I own. First up is the Disney version. Now for this, all the characters from the story of Robin Hood are played by animals. This has a great cast. Mostly British actors. There's like one or two couple American actors playing the roles, doing the voices. Like, okay. Phil Harris is the voice of Little John. Otherwise, I think the rest of it, they are British actors. So, and they did a good job. Next one, This Robin Hood is from 2010, and it's a fact-based version of the story, which is I found very interesting. Now, there are factual errors, as if you go to IMDb, you tap on Goofs, if you want, and it will say, oh yeah, by the way, this is wrong, this was wrong, yes. So it's half true, half fictional. So, when they talk about the Great Charter, they're talking about the Magna Carta. If you actually go to history class, you know what it is. Now, the next one is just the last version of Robin Hood that there is. So, Robin Hood from 2 years ago, very good, great cast. And for this version, they don't have Prince John or King Richard. Where in other versions of stories, you have Prince John and King Richard, but with this version you don't. Because the villain in the movie really truly is the Sheriff of Nottingham. And I think it's a great take on the story because it's different than any other version I've ever seen or own. And it is funny in parts. And I do suggest you watch it because it is so good. And there are parts that are very funny. And yes, Jamie Foxx is playing Little John. I think he does a great job at playing Little John. I think Tara Edgerton plays a good job at playing Robin Hood. So, great job at the actors playing their characters. So, that's it. But one thing, if you want to see a show that takes all these stories that I talked about, and as well as other fairy tales or other tales, and and puts them in a new light or changes them entirely, and if they are Disney based, they have changed them entirely. And it's a great show that I loved so much when it was on. I watched it from beginning to end, and that is Once Upon a Time. Now I know soon, I don't know how soon, I heard how soon, the show will be on Disney Plus. The Disney movies, which would be the only one is Rogers St. Hammerstein's Cinderella. That should be on Disney Plus, but I don't know when it'll be there. Because I know the Robin Hood I talked about is there. So hopefully Mirror Mirror will be on there, because I know the Disney's version of Snow White and the Seven Dwarfs is there. So who knows? And that is it. This is RHM for RHM Movie Reviews signing off.